How do they use the Jordanian law? Jordanians, just like any country, any nation state, has the power and authority to seize private property in order to install public facilities. According to the Jordanian law, if they want to build a highway, if they want to build a school, if they want to build a hospital, and then the property is owned by a private owner, then the authority will confiscate that land and compensate the owner by 125% of the value of their land. It doesn't seem fair, but you want to serve the public. Throughout the West Bank, the Israelis paved the road network, highways, on the property of Palestinian families that's about 1,200 kilometers long. Those highways, the red highways, more than 2/3 of those highways, are inaccessible by Palestinian residents of the West Bank. So we confiscate your property as a resident of the West Bank to install a public facility. But are you included in the public? You are excluded from the public. For example, this highway is built on the property of the Palestinian community of Birzeit. You see some of their houses here. None of the landowners are allowed to drive on this road. None of them. As you see, their property is used to build a highway. Their property is used to install a concrete wall, and their property is used to install also a fence wall. So this is part of the Israeli wall. This is part of the Israeli wall, and there's just 6 kilometers long highway that you can see others driving on your family land, but you are not allowed. Land is being confiscated to serve Israeli settlement enterprise in the occupied West Bank, and that land is owned by families. When Palestinians go on hating on Israeli settlers, it's simply because those settlers are the beneficiaries of the stolen land. They are the beneficiaries of stolen property. And how do they make sure that Palestinians are not allowed to drive? We have a network of military checkpoints on every road. Now, the Israelis have car registration system where you label the cars. How the Nazis labeled Jews, the Israelis took that strategy of labeling and applied it also on us. There are 2 labels. If you are under Israel civil rule, being one of the survivors of the ethnic cleansing, a Muslim or a Christian, or being a Jewish Israeli, you are subject to Israeli civil law. This, if you are in this part and Jerusalem, you are subject to Israeli civil laws. And then you drive a vehicle with a yellow label. If you are under Israeli military rule, which is the Palestinians in the occupied West Bank, like the Palestinians who live in those houses, you drive a vehicle with a white label. It's a green numbers on a white label. So when these 2 vehicles, a yellow label and a white label, approach a military checkpoint, the soldier doesn't need to be a genius. They were like, yeah, this vehicle is allowed. This vehicle, it will be shot at if it keeps approaching. And that's how they know. It's not like they check on us. Now, of course, we have labels as well. From the day you are born, the Israeli stamps you with a number. When I was born, the number on my birth certificate was issued by the Israelis. So I'm labeled as a resident of the West Bank. Therefore, I'm labeled as a subject to Israeli military rule, not Israeli civil rule. Make sense? We have a lot of labels. The Germans had 1 label, the Israelis have few. When it comes to highways and roads, this is how they would confiscate it. When it comes to settlements that were built on land stolen by the State of Israel, the settlements are not only residential areas. You also need public facilities in the settlements. You need a school. You confiscate a family's land to build a school. You need a power station. We confiscate another family for. You need a bus stop or a bus station. You need a hospital. All those public facilities are installed on property stolen from Palestinian families, and those families are excluded from the public to begin with. In the United States, there is an activist called Rosa Parks that helped with triggering part of the success of the civil rights movement. Like, she's a very big name. What's the story of Rosa Parks? She refused to sit in the back of the bus, and every white supremacist went crazy. Like, she's destroying the norm. What if Rosa Parks was a Palestinian who owns the land that was confiscated to install a bus stop, and then the bus stops on her land? Rosa Parks in Palestine is not allowed to get on the bus to begin with. Is not allowed to sit on the front of the bus. You are not allowed on the bus that leaves off your family's property. So that's how they use or abuse the Jordanian land law. Okay? To make things worse, the Israelis sometimes offer you compensation. And it's really worse than not offering anything. Because the compensation is 125% of the value of your land back in 1967. Yeah, because the law was applicable until 1967. And they just move on with that. Everything is legal. The land that is not stolen based on Israel's abuse of Jordanian law or Israel's abuse of British law will be stolen by Israel's abuse of the Ottoman laws.